Hello, folks, and welcome to Stupid O'Clock. I'm Dan Hollifield. Joe Dog is going to be with us tonight, and Stephanie as well. They are both over on Armchair Rocket Science, talking rocket stuff. And when that's over, they're going to join us here. And let's just go ahead and bring up John. Oh, get the mouse in the right place. And Bill. Oh, it's Spider Bill tonight. Oh, hey, Donna.
Hey, Donna.
Yes, and hopefully we can get Joe and Stephanie to talk about the same kind of stuff they were talking about over on ARS to get our personal questions answered, since we can't be in both places at the same time.
There has been a lot of rocket news in the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, that's exciting. It's kind of like the old days. Lots and lots of stuff happening all over. I remember when I was a kid, it was just really awesome every time the news actually covered something rocket related. Oh.
Well, Chicken Little told me there were some of them falling out of the sky.
Those are some of the eternal or infernal questions that we need to have answered later on. But we will just go with the flow until that happens. And we'll just keep right on going from there.
Oh. Well, I have a new toy. If you have a moment,
Yes,
I kind of alluded to it when Spidey took over, but going to have to see if I can. This is my new toy. It is the Hot Toys Spider-Man Homecoming figure that I thought was a 12-inch tall figure, and
Apparently
is
not.
actually a 18-inch tall figure, which the only one of them, I have a Batman 89 figure that's 18 inches tall, and they're huge. This guy, he's really got the cloth costumes. He's got all kinds of gadgets and hologram stuff. The base is really wonderful because if you remember Spider-Man Homecoming, he fought Michael Keaton as the Vulture, and this is part of the Vulture base and the Vulture helmet and the eyes. And as you can see, it lights up, but also if I can find the switch, because it's so small, it does other things too.
Oh, it strobes.
It strobes, and it'll stop and then strobe again. The bottom setting is a less epileptic version of it, where it'll just kind of fade in and then fade out and then go and there it's fading in and out. But anyway, and this is all done. Well, it has a battery compartment, but as many of these figures with light up bases and different things are coming out with now, they have USB ports and cables that you could plug them in directly. So if you want to leave this thing on 24/7, you can do it. Oh, it even also comes with Droney, the spider drone from.
Oh, wow.
And there's his spider emblem here. If you remember, Droney came from the emblem in the movie, and it kind of looked like a hollowed out silver version. So this actually comes off, which I won't try to do it with my fingers. You kind of need tweezers for it, but it will give you that same look on that. And then the eyepieces are all magnetic, and this is the standard eyepieces, but it has all the different ones where he's squinting and closing his eyes when he gets knocked out, things like that. So anyway, it's a real neat piece, and there's a more deluxe version of it than what I could afford. As you see, it has one vulture wing here, but the deluxe version has a couple more pieces on the base, and it has a big, huge vulture wing that has the little thing in the middle of it, the gyro or whatever you want to call it. So anyway, but that's show and tell for tonight, boys and girls. And
had the keyboard on the wrong setting.
yeah. Well, Laura so graciously bought me some Belkin keyboard rests and mouse rests so that I don't end up with carpal tunnel.
Hey, Dan. Dan.
Yes.
For a second, I thought he said keyboard breast.
Oh, now that's tomorrow night's show.
Yeah, that's definitely green room material right there. And Bill, your fan club has shown up.
Hi, Sarah. And the other fan club's going to show up too as soon as I send him the link. I can find it, but
I was watching one of the other shows last night, and Ryan showed up, and Carl made a point in the comments of mispronouncing his last name
on purpose.
On purpose.
On purpose.
And I had to pop in there with, damn it, Carl.
Well, maybe Ryan now might show up with a little commentary on that.
This is true.
Because I just shot him the link. So Ryan, looking.
I don't really know whether or not. I don't think anybody popped up the comment on screen, so I don't know if Ryan actually read it or if it just or if he did let it slide. But
hey, and there's Grant.
I'm getting tired of repetitions of that joke. I mean, it was. I didn't say it on purpose. I didn't mispronounce his name on purpose, but
it was a good joke at the time. But
well, it wasn't meant to be a joke. It was.
Oh, I know, but that's how it ended up. But as all running gags go, they get old after a while. So you got to know when to use them and when to let them go. And it's just time to let that one go.
Yeah, well, Ryan's never going to ask me on his show if everybody keeps rubbing his nose and me mispronouncing his name.
Till you accidentally call him Ryan Possum, we just won't mention it anymore.
Who started that Ryan Persimmon joke anyway?
Me.
Oh.
Damn.
And it was by accident. I had a dyslexic pronunciation. I can't help it if my mouth does not move as fast as my brain. And when it catches up, it makes a few wrong turns along the way.
Well, as you see, I have to drink my Mexican Coke tonight so I can keep up with you and Ryan.
Yeah, save the caffeine for tomorrow.
Went and bought some. I went to the grocery store this morning, and I bought some celery for my Bloody Marys because it just really isn't a Bloody Mary without that stick of celery sticking out of there.
Okay, I'll take your word for it.
And this is the nastiest celery I've ever tasted in my life.
Oh,
You take the celery, you take it off the stalk, you wash it.
mm-hmm.
So I washed it now, and I was making chicken wings or a Frank's buffalo chicken bites.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I baked the chicken bites in the oven, got my ranch dressing, chopped up some celery sticks, was eating it. I'm eating these celery sticks, and it's like eating dirt.
Oh,
Ooh.
Okay. Now I washed the celery before I chopped it, so the celery literally tastes like soil.
Mm.
I mean, it's terrible. So I'm not going to drink in protest of the soil tasting celery. I'm not going to drink a Bloody Mary tonight.
I would drink the Bloody Mary anyway without the celery. Just make the celery sit there and watch you drink the Bloody Mary.
I'm wondering.
Punishment.
Well, I haven't tried it yet, but I'm wondering if the celery at the heart is sweeter. Tastes more like celery.
I don't know. I once got a jar of let's see, it was grapefruit and orange and tangerine slices, and it was in a nice heavy syrup and everything. Usually, I mean, it's a pretty nice little bit of health food there. I opened the jar and pulled out a piece of fruit and started eating it. It tasted like 10-10-10 fertilizer, basically.
Mm.
And being an old farmer, I know exactly what that smells and tastes like because I've had clouds of dust from the stuff blow right up in my face. I knew exactly what it was. I had to throw the jar of fruit away. I mean, there's no way it was edible. And this was back in the day before people complained about things.
Do you ever eat pistachios?
I have.
And find that one bad one, like just.
They're all bad to me.
Every bag will have one that just is like a rotten pistachio.
Oh, yeah.
But usually you can't tell it's rotten until you bite into it, taste it, and it's like, ugh.
Quality control.
Here's my weakness.
Yogurt pretzels. Yeah.
Yeah, and they're Trader Joe's yogurt pretzels. We went to Chicago Tuesday, and we stopped not once, but twice to Trader Joe's because there are these little butter cookies. Stupid O'Clock tonight is brought to you by Trader Joe's. But anyway,
I wish.
Really.
It's like I told you before. Send them a bill, see if they'll pay us.
Yeah, well, they might. They only set up shop in well-to-do cities, and
I believe we finally have one in Chattanooga.
Do you?
We've got one in Athens. I've never been there, but
Champagne's been trying to get it, and we go to the one. I think it's Willowbrook, but I know Indianapolis has one. But nobody else downstate, as far as I know. But yeah, I love Trader Joe's, and
it's out on Gun Barrel. It's out on Gun Barrel Road near Hamilton Place.
And Laura turned me on to something that is really dangerous for me, considering I had been losing weight, and I say had. They have a thing. It's in a jar. It looks like a peanut butter jar, but it's called cookie butter. And it is a buttery spread that tastes like cookie dough. It is very rich. It is very addictive. So on these butter cookies, I put some of that cookie butter on that between two of them. You can put it on toast or anything. It's wonderful.
So how's the
Um,
diabetes going?
yeah. Well, that's the other thing too. I mean, it's so good you could eat it right out of the jar, but I've been told not to do that because might end
But
up with
use
a
a
tummy ache.
spoon.
Yeah.
Use a spoon so you can get every drop. Yeah.
Oh man. It's so I we're going to go back up there in 2 weeks, and I said I will eat that sparingly and have it like a treat, like my Mexican Coke that I drink once or twice a week, and leave it at that. But yeah, I wished we had that store down here. When we go back up next time, I'm going to hit up the fruit and vegetable aisle. But I even got uh, hand soap. I think I spent about $40 in that store.
Mm. Oh yeah.
Oh, and I got some of their coffee that I'm going to be trying with the rum chata in the green room tomorrow night.
All right.
They have they have all kinds of coffee, but I was looking for the Keurig, and they have Trader Joe's Fair Trade Colombian coffee that smells out of this world. I had a cup of it yesterday morning for breakfast. It's very good coffee, but it is very strong coffee. So if you like strong coffee, you're going to love this.
I do. Matter of fact, thank you for reminding me. I keep forgetting to go on and order some of Ted's favorite, the Waking Dragon coffee.
Oh yeah.
From the Indian River Roasting Company. I went to order some before, and Ted's discount code had expired, and he got them to re-up it for this year. And I keep forgetting to go back and try again, make sure it works. I don't know exactly what the shipping will be, but my wife and I were talking. We intend to make it in a French press coffee maker instead of using a drip percolator or putting it into the little make your own Keurig cup things, because we got a couple of those where you just put your own coffee in a little pre-made reusable Keurig cup. And I asked her if she thought it would be better for us to get the whole bean and grind it ourselves, or get the coarse grind from the roasting company. And she thought, well, I kind of want to do it myself. And I go, well, that makes up my mind. And then she says, maybe the next time we can try one of the ones that they grind. But the first time, let's just get the whole beans. So, hey, Carl. Nice to see ya.
Carl, I hope you like that picture that I made for you.
The rocket-powered kitty cat.
No, that one's not mine. That one I just shared.
Okay.
I made the one. I just actually posted it tonight. Saving all your old doll heads to make nice little night lights for the kiddos.
There we go again. Some people just won't let it die. Thank you, Carl. Oh. Yep, I was sitting here watching a video about canal boats over in England, the narrow boats. And the cat over by the window had stretched and turned and rolled over and just about knocked an entire shelf full of stuff that her little blanket is on right now. Knocked it completely in the floor. I jumped up and ran over there and grabbed it all, kept her from falling down, straightened it all back up with her still standing on the blanket. And she was a little confused at why everything was moving around up from under her feet. And as soon as I was done, I gave her a little pet, and she started rubbing my forehead with her forehead, and I'm going, "Oh, this is so nice." Uh, they are. This one is rather strangely affectionate. She's either biting your fingers or just rubbing all over you, one or the other. There's no in between. Dated a girl like that once. Was fun on some days.
Bit your fingers, did she?
We'll call it that. Yes, it's not the green room. And
This show's just got to go on later at night. That's all there is to it. Thursday nights, it's just too early.
No, we get a reputation to uphold. We're supposed to be stodgy, boring science fiction geeks and whatnot. We can't be seen to have exciting lives offline. It would ruin our reputation. Well, I've got a mess of mail I got to clean up over there.
Okay, so Laura just sends me this text, and I will gladly share it with you all. It says, "Want to feel old? Bonanza premiered 62 years ago. The Beatles split up 52 years ago. Laugh-In premiered nearly 54 years ago. The Wizard of Oz is 82 years old. Elvis is dead at 44 years. He'd be 84 today. The Thriller video is 38 years old. Jimi Hendrix and Janis Joplin dead 51 years. John Lennon dead 41 years. Mickey Mantle retired 53 years ago. Back to the Future, Ryan, you listening? Back to the Future is 37 years old. Saturday Night Fever is 44 years old. The Ed Sullivan Show ended 49 years ago. Brady Bunch premiered 52 years ago. The triplets on My Three Sons are 52. Tabitha, my friend on Facebook, good Aaron, from Bewitched is 57. And the Corvette turned 68 this year, and the Mustang 57. Oh, God, we're so old.
Tabitha's finally getting within dating age.
Oh, yes. And I will tell you, she, even though has no relation to Elizabeth Montgomery other than the TV roles that they played, she looks so incredibly like Elizabeth Montgomery did in the late 60s. It's uncanny.
Squeaky.
And I've mentioned that to her before too. And she's, "Oh, thank you." You know, she took it as a compliment. I said, "Well, of course it's a compliment. Elizabeth Montgomery was beautiful, you know, and talented and everything else." Yeah, but
Bill, I think she just put a spell on you.
She wiggled her nose.
Yeah, I bet that's what she wiggled.
Well, she wiggled something. I don't know what it was.
Oh, welcome to the Dirty Old Man Network. No. See what kind of trouble we get into when Joe's not here to take the blame?
You mean what, man?
Just sit back there, Kimasabi. Oh, heavenly day. Well, what can we get into now?
Oh, I could make Brian K. Morris jealous.
Oh,
I've had this for a while, but I haven't ever had it framed. And that's my man there. But
Carl, Joe Dog is doing a armchair rocket science with Stephanie right now, and they will both be in here a little bit later, whenever the news gets done. Gentlemen, we have what could be a troll, but
No,
has not done a trollish thing yet. But
quit calling everybody you don't know a troll.
yeah, but there's only like 5 or 6 people on the. Wait a minute, now I sound like Bill.
Okay. And
Well,
to answer your question, yes, we are live.
the show is live. We are dead.
Yes, we're that old.
We are robots.
Just so you know, Stupid Clock the show was started back when COVID first broke out, and all the science fiction conventions got canceled. And this show is based on all those weird little conversations you hear at science fiction conventions after the programming is finished for the night, and everybody's just sitting around the hotel in the lobbies and the pool area, smoking and drinking and shooting the breeze.
Yep.
So think of it as sci-fi convention after hours without the nudity. That's
Which
on
takes
Saturday
a
show.
lot of the fun out of it, let me tell you.
Well, I think probably should say yet at the end of that, just because you never know how it's going.
I don't know Grant Lankard well enough
Yeah, you do.
to know if he's a troll.
Yeah,
or
you
not.
do.
No, he's not a troll.
Okay.
He's not a troll.
He's not a troll. He's a
Well, you guys know him. Is he a troll?
he's a dwarf, or he could
I was
be.
gonna say he's an innocent bystander, but
Hey, let's put it on the Stupid O'Clock Facebook page and make a vote.
I know he's not an ogre.
Is Grant Lankard a troll?
oh, come on now, that would be cruel. We can't do that.
Yes, we can.
Well, physically, yes, it is possible, but I'm saying, would it be moral? And I don't think so.
Grant, you know on this show that you're loved when they make fun of you.
I'm surprised. I'm thinking about going over and photobombing Armchair Rocket Science because Joe and Stephanie aren't here yet.
Why? Give him time to do the show. Joe doesn't get to do enough ARS stuff.
Mm-hmm.
He loves it. He loves it. Let him do his thing.
What we're talking about is Joe McKeel, who runs a science fiction convention, is the guy that started Stupid O'Clock. He also started, his other favorite hobby is the Tesla, or not SpaceX rocket launches. He's a rocket geek. So he started another one of these shows called Armchair Rocket Science. And in the last couple of weeks, there's been a lot of rocket news. So him and Stephanie Osborne, Intergalactic Woman of Mystery, and Rocket Mama, are on the Armchair Show right now, talking about the mysterious solar radiation effects on the 40 SpaceX satellites and other space conspiracies.
And that's got me thinking,
which I'm surprised
they had just been launched. I mean, they really, well, I guess anything can happen, but I will wait for Stephanie's opinion before I form one of my own, because she is far better educated than me.
I think my opinion is the one that actually they're gonna find out that that's what caused it.
Well, that is a good theory.
Because
I like that.
40 is a very even number of satellites. So I'd be willing to bet it's like a whole string of those things with the solar cells or the solar shades.
From what I read, it's the ones they just launched this week. They hadn't had time to get up to their final orbit. They were just kind of coasting on up, and then boom, they started falling on down. Yeah. So they all came out of the same rocket.
If they're the newer ones, they probably had the solar shields that were supposed to help the astronomers by blocking light, and so the astronomers wouldn't see the darn things or whatever. I'd be willing to bet those solar cells or the solar shades were acting as solar cells, and that's what caught the solar effects and knocked them out of orbit. It doesn't take much for those things. They're real lightweight.
Yeah.
As satellites go.
This is true, and they weren't very high up in orbit yet, as I was saying. And one of the effects of a solar storm is to heat up the atmosphere and make it poof out a little bit and cause extra drag on satellites that are in low orbit. And let's just. It's too bad we can't take care of some of the space junk the same way. It would be nice to have something get rid of all the little nuts and bolts and flecks of paint that are moving around 15 times as fast as a rifle bullet and causing extreme damage if they ever hit it. Salvage One with Andy Griffith was a similar theme, but not identical. Removing orbital trash.
Both not very good shows.
I really liked.
Admit it.
I really liked Quark. It was about the closest the U.S. has ever gotten to having a decent red dwarf of our very own. And believe me, we tried a couple of times to have a U.S. version of Red Dwarf, and as usual, when people in the United States try and copy a British TV show, we suck.
It only lasted. What was it? Did it go for a whole season?
I think it was half a season. I think it was half.
Red Dwarf, the American Red Dwarf, is an abomination.
Yeah, there were two different versions of it, and yes, they were both abominations.
No, well, the British one was. I mean, let's face it. There's just some shows that you can't Americanize.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
A lot of people don't know.
In the U.S., we tried 2 different times to do Red Dwarf as an American series, and both times it sucked out loud. The British Red Dwarf that we were trying to copy should not have ever been touched. It's wonderful all on its own.
You mean Far Out Space Nuts with Bob Denver? Wasn't an American version of Red Dwarf?
No.
Wasn't that Roof Buzzy and Jim Neighbors? Or was no?
Oh, that's Far Out Space. No, let's see. Now I'm confusing my Saturday morning.
One was Lost
Saucer. That's Roof Buzzy and Jim Neighbors.
Okay. And Far Out Space Nuts was Bob Denver and the other fellow. I can't remember his name. I could see him, and I can't think of what his name is right now. He was kind of like a big, heavyset, younger version of Alan Hale Jr. And he was character actors on a lot of things.
Multi Towers, yeah, I can't imagine anybody in the U.S. get Multi Towers right.
A lot of people have never seen, but it is out there. The first James Bond Casino Royale.
Oh yes.
They had an American James Bond and a British Felix Leiter, and it's horrible. But it's kind of like a card crash. You have to look, So go find it on YouTube.
Yeah, it's one of the old black and whites from back when the U.S. only had 2 or 3 TV networks.
There's a lot of British shows that they just should not. They ought to make it an international law that you can't do an American version of it. Absolutely fabulous. They shouldn't do an American version.
No. You can't get 2 women like those 2 anywhere near them.
The young ones, ones, they should not do an American version of the young ones.
Almost made a green room comment, Bill. I'm sorry. Thank you for me there, John. You're absolutely right.
You're just wanting to get there, aren't you?
No, I'm just ready for Friday. That's all. It's been a rough week.
I went. I wasn't. I haven't been feeling good lately, and I finally woke up this morning, showered, shaved, and got ready and everything. Yeah, it was horrible. I went to the grocery store today, Ingles, down here in Pringle. They had whole hams, Smithfield hams.
Oh.
$10.
Ooh, how big?
A whole ham,
Oh, great big.
Yeah.
Not the little can things. All right.
No. Real ham. Bone and everything. And so I got one of those. A lot of their meat was on sale. I found a couple of ribeyes that were decent. for about $10. And,
Yeah.
bought pork chops were on sale. I bought a bunch of pork chops, and then they make their own in-house pork sausage that I really like. So I bought a pound and a half of that. And that nasty celery I was telling you about. I was very
Yeah.
Do you have an Aldi's down there, John?
I do. Closest
They-
ones I can afford Oglethorpe.
Typically, out of about 3 or 4 Aldi's that I've been to around here, their fruits and vegetable section is really good.
That is exactly the opposite of the Aldi's down here, even though my mother
Really?
disagrees with me. Every time I have gone to the Aldi's down here, and I won't say where it is, the fruits and the vegetables have been way past their sell-by dates, and I'm sure that is just a function of what shipments came in and how long it had been in the store. But
Well, there's this trend also toward a lot of stores are trying to go organic,
yeah,
which usually means bug eaten and rotten. But that's
this is true. There is a reason farmers have to buy it.
Well, it's definitely a lot more expensive than inorganic.
Really, and you think it
it's all
wouldn't
that
be
extra-
because they're
it's all
not
that extra
spending any
protein.
extra money.
it's all that extra protein they put in the food with all the mealworms and stuff.
Caterpillars.
Well, I know everything is going up, so meat, no matter what it is.
Isn't that a wonderment? They told us we couldn't raise pay rates, otherwise the price of everything would go up, and the price of everything went up anyway.
Funny how.
Well, and look at fuel right now, and they're saying it's going to be over $4 a gallon here come this summer, and it may make it there earlier. Hi, Keisha. But
it's actually been dropping around here. Not rapidly,
here. It's
not rapidly, but dropping.
Ours has been staying right around 330.
Ours is 345 currently, but I know just in Danville they're at a dime to 15 cents more expensive. Champaign, same thing, if not 20 cents more expensive. Of course, they're a college town, but still.
Yeah.
But think about it. Okay, if fossil fuel prices go up, that not only affects gas, that affects everything.
Yep.
I mean, everything made. Some people don't realize what all is made with fossil fuels. You know, the Jergens lotion that I put on my hands to keep them from looking like alligator hands. I mean, that's made from that. That's just, there's so much of everything.
And if fossil fuels get high enough, people are actually going to look forward to electric cars. I wonder if there's a connection. I'm a suspicious fellow. Good grief, they're getting active now.
Thing about it is, we're not ready for electric cars right now because there's just you're going to still have to run it off of fossil fuels.
Well, yeah,
because there's just not enough recharging stations around everywhere. There's a bot and a half.
I've got one that won't go away, so I'm going to put it in timeout.
Oh, there you go.
Yep. Don't know what it was. Oh, that's our fourth bot for tonight there, Carl.
Actually, we got one.
No, that's Carl. That's Carl. That's not a bot. Now, don't block him again.
We've had 4 bots.
Yeah.
But on the bright side, our numbers are up by 4.
That's right. You send the bots off to the forbidden zone and raise the algorithm. Raise the algorithms.
Yep. Billy Mooney is on my friends list there, Bill.
Should I report them for pornography or child abuse?
Um,
promotes terrorism, harassment or bullying, suicide or self-injury, misinformation,
it's probably porn.
unwanted commercial content, or spam.
Well, that's a
You,
good general purpose label right there.
you know, when John just asked that about pornography or whatever,
I
it
saved
made
that for Carl's page.
it,
Oh,
it made
okay.
me think of the part of Caddyshack where um, Chevy Chase tells Ted Knight something about his father and collies, and I won't repeat the quote because this is not the
Thank
green room.
you. Thank you.
But it just popped into my head. So John says, should I report him for this or for this?
So many choices, so few bots. I don't think we'll ever run into that problem. Now, that other one that I couldn't block should be coming back any minute now.
I
Because it
blocked
was
him.
just a.
I
Oh, you
blocked him.
blocked him?
Yeah.
Okay. I had him in a 5-minute timeout, but
You had him in a figure 4 leg lock.
well, it might have been the reason I couldn't block them is because John and I were both trying to block them at the same time.
No, I saw where you timed down out, but it let me block him. So.
Oh, okay, good. I don't know why that works, but hey, as long as somebody can block them, they're blockable. I am coming off like a Muppet tonight. Let me tell you, I feel like Fozzie Bear.
Kind of look like him.
Waka, waka, waka.
Waka, waka, waka. You walked into that one.
Yeah. I don't mind a bit. I don't take it as an insult at all. Oh, now.
Did I ever tell you my Muppets and Pink Floyd joke?
No, but go ahead. I'm going to have to get up and get a beer anyway, so.
Oh, so while John's talking, you're just going to walk away.
No, I'm not. I want to hear the joke, and then I'm going to walk away with plausible deniability.
In disgrace or what?
With plausible deniability.
Back when I was in the Army, and I was stationed in Berlin, I went out on the town one night, early in the morning, came back to the barracks, a little drunk, came in, and the staff duty office, or our company office, basically, where they were keeping watch, was right across the hall from our TV room. And this was back in VHS days, where a big screen TV was a big giant box the size of a dresser, you know, those old fashioned ones like that, projector TV.
CRT screen or projection, okay.
And I walked by, and in the video room there, they were playing Pink Floyd's The Wall. So I thought, hey, I'm still not sleepy. I'm just kind of drunk. So I go in there, I sit down, I start watching. I'm watching Pink Floyd's Wall, and it's the fascism scene in the theater.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sitting there half lit, staring at this, going, you know, and this is how my mind works. So they're looking at it, go, you know, that looks just like the theater from the Muppet Show. And it all hit. I had this epiphany, alcohol-fueled epiphany, sitting there in front of it, of Jim Henson doing a version of Pink Floyd's The Wall with Muppets. Gonzo would play Pink.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, you're welcome. You get to go to bed tonight with that image. You're going to be laying in bed trying to go to sleep, and you're going to see Gonzo, okay, in the black uniform with a little hammer emblem.
Want a bit? By the time I go to bed, I'm not going to see anything but the inside of my eyes.
It'll come back to haunt you, I swear.
Oh, no, it won't. Believe me, I've got much worse things to haunt me, like impending deadlines and stuff like that there.
Did put the Muppet theme show into my head now.
Somebody posted a filk version of the lyrics for the Muppet Show, and it was all Cthulhu Mythos stuff. And I keep hearing the music and seeing the filk lyrics play out in my head. So I don't think I'm going to be worried about John's Nazi Muppets at all.
Inspirational, celebrational, Muppetational.
This is what we call the Muppet Show.
Is Joe going to have a show to come back to? Is what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
Are we going to get ourselves banned here because we're on our own?
Well, I can show off
look.
Spider-Man's backpack.
Oh, I thought it was a G.I. Joe backpack.
Well, no, it's too big for that. And
no, I had the foot tall G.I. Joe back in the day.
I don't know where the camera is. It's got another little holographic. There's a scene where he does a GPS map. I thought these things lit up, actually.
And they don't.
And they don't. And it's got, I shoved it full because the one thing when I was reading the reviews on all this stuff before I decided to purchase it or not was all the little things that you could attach to Spidey. You could actually shove in the backpack because it's got a zipper on there. And yes, it has Spidey's little cell phone with what's his face? I can't think of it. It was his best friend who found out that he was Spider-Man. He was in the bedroom when he was Ned. Yeah, Ned Leeds.
Yes, and that just happens to be the name of a major Spider-Man villain from the comics.
Right. Yeah. And as much as I love looking at Marissa Tomei, I just don't think she's a Aunt May version that I think is very accurate to the comics.
You know, they missed the opportunity to have Betty White play Aunt May.
Oh, that would have rocked.
I was thinking Olympia Dukakis back in the day, but
the lady that they had for the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man movies was absolutely perfect as Aunt May.
She was. I
totally agree on that one.
Now, the one thing that kind of ticked me off about the whole thing was when they had Dr. Octopus, Doc Ock, grab her, and he was using her as a hostage. And one of my favorite Spider-Man story arcs was where Doc Ock and Aunt May were dating.
Yeah.
Yes. And he's a little too young for her. Of course,
in the comics,
she might have been a cradle robber.
In the comics, he was a bit older.
Yeah.
Of course.
Well, time for me to exercise that plausible deniability I was talking about.
Something else that came with it is a little Spider-Man mask. You want to see it? But and they go into detail into saying this Spider-Man mask will not fit over the Tom Holland's head because it has an alternate Tom Holland unmasked head. And then it comes with this mask, which is elastic and stretchy, and it's got the same plastic eyes on there. But like, why wouldn't it fit on Tom Holland's head? I haven't tried it, but I am going to.
I think they're trying to say that he's got a big head. That may be an insult.
I think that is actually like an Easter egg, because maybe Tom Holland got a big head after playing Spider-Man, so they threw that in there as a kind of joke.
Well, now the new, which I have not seen the new Spider-Man movie that came out.
I haven't seen any movies since COVID hit.
The one with Benedict Cumberbatch reviving his Doctor Strange role, but I know there's a new Doc Ock in it. And ironically, the Doc Ock and the Green Goblin looks so much like the old Doc Ock and Green Goblin from the Tobey Maguire series of Spider-Man movies. And I almost wondered why they did it that way, thinking they might have improved on it a little bit.
I think they were trying to get the original characters back, because I know they got J.K. Simmons to play J. Jonah. That's another thing I kind of miss. I mean, don't get me wrong, J.K. Simmons does a great job playing.
Yeah.
But when I was a kid reading Spider-Man comics, his newspaper was always paying to build these robots that would go out and catch Spider-Man, and they all had a video screen with J. Jonah Jameson's face.
They did that in Spider-Man, the animated series in the 90s as well. The cartoon, but
you think we'd have something where the face is kind of like cell phone technology, and you get to see, he's like doing what we're doing while he's chasing Spider-Man.
Well,
they missed an opportunity.
Well, I don't know. As much as I like the original Tobey Maguire, because when it came out, I mean, that was just because it was the first Spider-Man movie. And although I did appreciate the 70s TV show with Nicholas Hammond, obviously they did not have the budget or the technology that we do now, or even back when the Tobey Maguire movies were out. But I think they did okay with it, and enough that I watched it every week, because you had that, and it was the same way with the Incredible Hulk. It's like, well, he didn't exactly look like the Incredible Hulk from the comics, and why are they calling him David Banner and not Bruce Banner like they do in the comics? But it was entertainment, for the 70s.
And Lou Ferrigno.
Yep. And you
can't
know
really
exactly why they were calling him David.
Okay. I want to show y'all something real quick, just because it's kind of... There's a store just south of Ringgold. It's just north of Dalton, just south of Ringgold. It sells carpet.
Dalton Carpet Mill?
No.
Okay.
Beaver Carpet, which I always thought was rather redundant. But
does it match the drapes?
They tore it down. It's gone now.
Well, they probably got tired of all the jokes and sold it.
Hey, drive it. That stretch. If you're going down to Dalton, that is a really boring stretch of road. But it's kind of funny because they've still got all those old-fashioned roadside attractions as you're driving down the road.
Yeah.
Give you an example. There is a pest control service that sits on the side of I-75. It's over by the northbound lane. They've got this giant fiberglass rat sitting out in their parking lot with a big wedge of cheese. Looks like some joke from an old Tom and Jerry cartoon for their advertising mascot. And which, I love that sort of stuff. Those old, giant, Goonie Golf type dinosaurs and Paul Bunyan. And stuff.
Oh, yeah. Up at the near the hotel that we stay at for family reunions in East Tennessee, there's a fireworks shop that has a big fiberglass dinosaur outside. I mean, it's like 3 times taller than the building the fireworks are in. But it has fallen in disrepair, sadly. But it's been there for a good 30 years at least. So
I miss that. I miss that kind of advertising because over here on Brainerd Road, they have Brainerd Army Store.
Mm-hmm.
And the Brainerd Army Store had one of those old jet external fuel tank, the drop tanks.
Mm-hmm.
They had it out front on the sign, but they had it dressed up like a missile. And that used to be a big thing for Army surplus stores back in the day. They'd buy these old external drop tanks from jet fighters
Mm-hmm.
and use them as advertising like that.
Well, John, I'm sending you a couple pictures and the Stupid O'Clock link of some old advertising from Danville. And
oh, that prompted a question on my part. Have they torn down the Big Chicken in Atlanta, or does it still exist? That used to be a local landmark. I mean, people in that area, when they saw it, it's like, oh, we're almost home now. There's the chicken.
It's like that joke about if you're going through Mobile and you see the battleship, you know you're almost home. Hey, don't laugh. When I was living in Biloxi and we went that route to get down to Biloxi,
Yeah.
It's the battleship. We knew we were like less than an hour from home. So.
Mm-hmm. Lindsay's got a couple of those. If we're coming from Atlanta in one direction, and she sees the water tower at the Athens Tech Vocational College, if you go by there on a foggy morning and you see that thing looming out of the fog, you would believe H.G. Wells' War of the Worlds is real. And then if we come a different direction and we're going towards Commerce and Banks Crossing instead of coming back through Athens, there's this humongous, ginormous American flag. I mean, the thing's got to be a couple of football fields in size.
We passed up some on Interstate 57 going north to Chicago.
That's another one of her landmarks. When she sees that flag, she knows we're almost home. So.
John, that last picture that I sent you, if you pull that one up on the screen, I'll read the plaque part here. I got it pulled up on my end. And just to let people know what it's all about. This building is no longer there, but the Indian, even though it's no longer in that place, the Indian is still around, but it's been relocated.
As have a lot of them.
Yeah, of course.
Sadly.
It's the picture that says the Copper Indian on the Dixie Highway. Is the one I'm
the one in color, the one that's flexible.
It's in the Stupid O'Clock messenger.
I know where it's at. I'm just trying to figure out a way to get it without showing a bunch of your information.
Yeah, that is okay. Yeah, that's the problem there. Well, you meant well. Here we go. There you go.
Okay. So the chief there, this was a 17-foot tall copper statue built in 1949 by Herbert W. Drews, 1887 to 1961, of Danville to honor Kesla, a famous Kickapoo Indian chief of East Central Illinois. It stood North Route 1 in Danville, otherwise known as the Dixie Highway, for 48 years, maintained first by the sculptor and then by his son, Robert Drews. The sculptor's grandson, Randall Graham, moved the statue here in 1995. I went to school with Rhonda Drews. It's all the same family. Drews ran its heating and air conditioning place. That was their business.
Bill, Sarah's asking if it's now relocated at Curtis.
That's the same. Yeah, that's the
Okay.
same one in Curtis Orchard over in Champaign County by Champaign. So,
And Herb Drews of the heating and air conditioning. Carl was
yes,
asking that.
yes,
All
yep,
right.
same. And that's his place in the black and white picture. That's his place of business. Um,
Which you said has been torn down.
yes. Yeah, they've been out of business for quite a while. And that. Now we had another building, and I thought I had a picture of this as well, but I cannot find it. And Carl and Donna will know what I'm talking about is Tiny Tim's Tin Shop. And that used to be located South Danville on Georgetown Road. And they were also basically the same type of business, heating and air conditioning. They had a great big Tin Man sculpture that they created to put out in front of their business. And it was always commented among us kids that the Kickapoo Indian was aiming his arrow going south and that it was going to go through the competition. Otherwise, that the arrow was going to be someday seen sticking out of the chest of the Tin Man. But and we also had a place outside of Danville that made it was a fireworks manufacturing place, and maybe Carl or Donna could remember the name of it. I know I can look it up and figure it out, but they had a huge like old-fashioned rocket ship that you could see from the highway. And I'm trying to find the name of that company, but you know, this is the way people used to advertise back in the day. And it just, you know, it's amazing that a lot of this has gotten by it, you know, for at least with new businesses. I don't know why I can't find that.
Yeah, I answered my own question there. Yes, it is still standing. And I have killed the page, but it's somewhere on near Marietta.
Well, go to marietta.com like it says on the picture.
Okay. Well, anyway, that's just one of those things where if you're driving around through there, oh, stop. Yes, that got rid of it. Stop share. Read the instructions, Daniel.
Okay. I'm going to toss this out here. Bit of news. Have you seen the footage from the little robot drone they swam into the Fukushima nuclear reactor?
No, I haven't.
And they've showed them. It's kind of like Chernobyl. They've got the melted fuel rods lying in the water under the reactor. One reactor was really badly damaged. The other ones we're not so sure about yet. But this one, it's Japan's Chernobyl basically. And they sent this little robot in to look at it. They brought back live video, so it was kind of cool. And they tried it a few years back, sending a robot in there, but the radiation killed the robot. And this one actually did its job. Apparently, they think they can get all the fuel out of there. I don't know how they're going to do it, but they think they can get all the fuel out of there in 30 to 40 years. But critics are saying that's kind of optimistic.
Well,
they're talking. They say it's 800 tons of uranium.
That's quite a lot.
Well, no, actually, that isn't, because uranium's so dense, it weighs so much. It's like
Well,
10
I mean,
times denser than lead, or that's really heavy material.
800 tons is still 800 tons.
But most of that 800 tons they're talking about is still secure as fuel rods. The reactors that actually managed to shut down
Oh, okay. So
are still
they could theoretically be salvaged.
those reactors were damaged to a point where it's still dangerous to try and recover the fuel, but
Mhm.
not impossible. But this one reactor is really in bad shape. So
And Carl,
Yeah.
yes, it was Star Fireworks. I just found the thing on my Facebook.
Oh, that's interesting. Marie Curie's notebooks are locked up and will not be safe for another 1,500 years.
they're contaminated with like radium and other
Mm-hmm.
things.
Mhm. The good news is you don't need a light to read them.
Waka waka.
Oh, heavens.
Let's see here.
Another
I'm
one of
surprised
those.
that Joe and Stephanie. I know they were watching something.
Mhm.
Joe was explaining something about Elon Musk, and they were showing some video. So apparently they're talking about. For those of you who don't know or don't keep up with it, SpaceX is getting ready to launch their new super heavy rocket. Okay. That's the big one that's like Buck
Yeah,
Rogers sci-fi
the
kind
big Mojumbo, yeah.
and it's literally, if it works, it will eventually. Once they crash enough of them, they'll figure it out. But
Yeah, well, it worked for NASA.
they built that big claw that they've designed. Apparently, they're going to figure out some way to bring the rocket in and put it in between these two arms and hover it there, and then the two arms will reach out and grab the rocket.
And why am I thinking of Toy Story?
It
Just give it
don't
a great big hug.
and
Yeah.
they have actually right now there are pictures. I'll bring one up here in a minute. There are pictures. They've got the booster on the stand. They've got the Starship rocket stacked on top of it with the claws around it. So they're actually doing system integration test as we speak
Ooh,
of the system. So here next month, we may actually get to watch one of these things fly.
that
Or
would be
crash.
Or both.
It worked until it crashed.
They don't call it a crash at SpaceX. They call it a rapid unplanned disassembly. Literally.
Well,
not a
it's
joke.
it's a very good term.
But they've crashed quite a few of those things. I think the last one they did was SN9.
Yeah.
And apparently they've got a lot of optimism for this one. And what's cool is, of course, they've got the big rocket sitting on top of the big booster. This thing's going to launch. The rocket's going to come off of it. The booster will go back and land like all the other SpaceX projects. And the rocket will, apparently, I don't know what they're going to catch with the claw. I don't know if they're going to catch the booster or the actual rocket. But from the look of it, the claws are designed to catch the rocket, not the booster. So I think the booster will land just like all the other SpaceX boosters. And I don't know if they've tested the boosters yet.
Well, I mean, if the claw drops it, you just put in another 50 cents and try to get it again, right?
Something like that.
Okay. No more claw machine jokes the rest of the night, I promise. As far as you know.
As far as we know, yeah. That's weird. I cannot find Armchair Rocket Science on my list of stuff I'm subscribed to.
Look over on, it should be on the right-hand side of your page. You should have pages, page manager or something like that.
I'm scrolling down through it. I don't see.
Click on the three little dots next to that, and it'll give you a list of all the pages you can choose from.
Yes, I'm scrolling through 180 subscriptions here, and Armchair Rocket Science is no longer among them, and it should be.
Hmm.
Abney Park. No. Action Skulls, which is Billy Mooney's music. Uh, Atomic Age Pictures. Nope. And it's no longer there. Matter of fact, one of Joe Dog's pages has disappeared.
Yeah, they're on there still.
They're on there. You just have to figure out how to find them.
Well, maybe
Is
I
that-
got unsubscribed somehow. I don't have the slightest idea. How long does
No,
that?
it's just you haven't been there in a while, so it hid them.
Oh, okay. Well, in that case, no. I
Is
didn't know
that? Go ahead.
No, I didn't know that if you don't visit things regularly, it gets taken off your list.
Well, then it doesn't get taken off your list. It just hides them. You have to go find them again. If you go up to search for friends or whatever it is,
Mm-hmm.
you can find it that way too.
Ceramic, but I don't think ceramic.
No.
Well,
Diamond?
Robert Furlan with space.com.
I know what you're watching. Nah.
they are still going. So yeah.
They don't like us anymore. Apparently, we're not rocket geeky enough.
Oh well.
All right.
Yeah.
Everything from here down is the booster.
First stage. Yeah.
Yeah.
The black part
From
is
here
the second
up,
stage.
that's the starship. And that I wish that there were. I hate this picture. The angle's all horrible. But there's actually a set of canard wings up here on the nose, and you can just barely see that one right there.
Yeah.
And apparently, that's what this is the claw I was telling you about. It grabs it right in there. Apparently, that's the reinforced area for this. And I guess that's what Stephanie and Joe are looking at right now. Is Elon Musk was explaining all this stuff because they're supposedly going to launch this thing next month. It's big. It's like Apollo big.
Yes.
Saturn V big.
Yes. And I am overjoyed, and I hope it works. I have been overjoyed.
That's
every one
Buck
of them
Rogers
actually
stuff right
worked.
there.
Yeah, Buck Rogers stuff. I just love it. Oh, that was an energetic move, Cat. Got up, stretched, turned around, laid down in the opposite direction, went back to sleep.
Hey, do not meddle in the affairs of cats.
Impersonating Garfield, huh?
There's no lasagna involved.
Oh, well,
Boy, lasagna would be good right about now.
Mm,
No,
We had-
I don't have enough noodles and I don't have the right cheese, so I have to go to the store.
we had about a quarter of a small brick of Irish cheddar cheese that I opened up a couple of weeks ago. And Lindsay's going, "You need to eat the rest of that."
Hey, Carl,
So
you're
I
being
did.
haunted. What you get for having that Friday night green room show?
Oh, did it come out when I looked at what they were doing? Oh, Lord.
I told you that.
Well, you said you knew what I was watching. I'm going, but my microphone,
Yeah.
it bled over into our sound.
Yes.
I didn't know it would do that.
Now you do. It takes, that's one of the other, I was just thinking about that earlier today is, of course, this is just, us doing this show. It's no big deal. But, on a real show, somebody would keep a journal of everything that happens on each show. So that, like, when we have guests, what date, that sort of thing.
Mhm.
Subjects we talked about, of course, if it were a real show. They actually, on a big TV show, they actually hire people to do that sort of thing. Keep archives.
yeah, this one's going in the can.
Hey,
Okay, no offense. Who doesn't need lasagna?
tell him he'll have to go out and back and dig his own. Just like grits.
I had that for breakfast yesterday.
Trying to
How
think
do you
if I've
get
got.
grits up north?
Trying to think if I've got.
Quaker oats.
Oh, Quaker Oats. Okay.
Although grits is readily available on most standing menu up in
Wow.
restaurants up here. Oh yeah.
Didn't used to be. Used to.
Well, since about the 80s, it's been up here because that's when how long I've been eating them up here at least.
You know something I have not had in a long time is a personal lasagna.
Aren't they all?
We had this restaurant in Chattanooga called Darris's. It used to be up on Ashland Terrace, and the Mr. and Mrs. Darris ran it out of their home. The whole front of their house was the restaurant.
Oh, wow.
One of those little roadside places with the great atmosphere, and just they had like fishing nets hanging from the ceiling of wine. All the old wine bottles were up hanging from the ceilings. And when they got older, it's kind of funny. They still ran the restaurant, but you had to call them. Are y'all going to open tonight? Said, well, we got friends in town and we wanted to show. Yeah, come on in. We'll open the restaurant. That
Make you feel guilty about showing up.
well, no, they didn't run it. Once they got older, they just didn't run it constantly. They just, if somebody, it was like, calling grandma, hey, grandma, are you cooking dinner tonight? And they used to make in these little crocks personal lasagnas.
Oh, wow.
So everybody got their own little lasagna. And that was, I haven't even seen those other than the stuff you buy in the frozen food section. I've never even seen them since then. So.
Now, Lindsay does that with quiches. Not quiche, but quiche. She will make them in muffin tins. And I'll take a muffin-sized quiche to work for my breakfast.
I thought he said Muppet tins for a minute.
This is what we call the Muppet Show. Okay.
Yes, that's tonight's running gag, boys and girls. The Muppet Show.
Y'all got Muppets on the brain, I swear.
Well, what I was going to say about John's little restaurant that he was reviewing, and mind you, I'm all for it. I love those little hole-in-the-wall places, especially if it's a hole in the wall of somebody's house. But I was going to say, this is probably back during the days when the health department really didn't care where you made the food. Because I know nowadays that would be a big no-no.
Mm-hmm.
There has never been a health inspector with large enough balls to go into that place and tell them that they could not cook food. They'd have burnt down his house and lynched him if he had closed that place. That's how beloved this restaurant was.
Oh, yeah. And the couple wouldn't have had to lift a finger. It would have been the people that went to the restaurant, the patrons.
He'd wake up one morning and find a horse's head in his bed. And don't laugh. The Darrises probably could have arranged that.
I was going to say, that's how they do things in Chicago.
Let's put it this way. They didn't make Italian food for no reason. Okay.
Okay. It was authentic, in other words. Ooh.
They had a place down.
From Muppets to the Mafia. This is topic drift, folks. You were saying, Bill?
Maybe. I don't know.
Somebody had a
Now-
voice somewhere.
Now I'm reevaluating what I was going to say. Yeah, I probably shouldn't say that. But
Remember, folks, pay your union dues.
or
You'll find out where Jimmy Hoffa is.
you'll end up in a cinder block of a cornerstone of some monument somewhere, or part of a new highway construction.
You know, they used to do that for human sacrifices back in the day. Somebody had to die for a building to be completed so that superstition would not have the building fall down. And now they do it for tax reasons.
I think they had to call that forced sacrifice. I don't think that they would have done it willingly.
I don't think very many sacrifices, aside from the drugged up Aztecs, were voluntary.
That reminds me of that Kolchak, the Night Stalker episode.
We're in for it now.
Yeah.
Yep.
Stephanie coming over. You wear her out.
Yeah. She's on her way. John, I like your business back there.
That thing. You know they tore that down.
They did.
Yes.
There's our Stephanie.
We were just having a discussion of roadside attractions. Driving
Yeah.
down the highway and you see stuff that gets your attention, and that is one of those roadside attractions. I giggle every time I drove by that thing.
It's now like a craft store or something like that, right?
No, they bulldozed it. They're
Oh,
putting in something new.
Okay, that must have just happened.
Yep. Now, we did do some research. The Big Chicken in Mayretta is still there.
Yeah. Well,
we were joking about that. There's that pest control service down there that sits off the side of I-75 northbound
got the rat.
with the
Yeah,
giant
that's the
rat
one.
out. They got the big
Yeah.
fiberglass rat out front with the big piece of cheese. Looks like something.
And that led me to wonder as to whether or not the Big Chicken had ever been torn down. And
The Big Chicken is now the National Historic.
oh, wow. It's
On the register.
Yeah.
on the register.
Yeah.
All right.
Mhm.
So they have to maintain it now.
Hi, Donna.
Yeah. Oh, hey, Donna. Yeah, we were over there listening to Elon talk and
Making
Naturally, it took a
commentary.
while.
making some commentary. And Stephanie was actually impressed with some of the stuff that he was talking about. She's
Oh
going,
yeah.
I've been saying that.
Well, now it's kind of like I want to meet him, not to fangirl, but to actually sit down and talk with him. And because based on what I saw a while ago, and see, I've never actually sat down and watched an interview or anything like that with Musk. So this was really my first chance to sit down and watch that, and I think he and I would get along really well. I think there's a lot of common ground there.
I think you
So-
intimidate him.
Hey, Stephanie, he's hiring.
Oh, don't tempt me.
No, trust me. Yeah.
I,
Of course.
at this point in my life, it's kind of like I just want to sit here and write my books, because I spent today. Today was a very, very long, very physical day for me.
Yeah.
And I am dead tired, and I can't imagine going back to a day job and going to the office 5 days a week for a minimum of 8 hours. Because when I was working the program, it was a minimum of 8 hours. Because even when we were sitting console and had 3 shifts, you still had to stick handovers on the end of that 8 hours,
Right.
each end.
Yeah.
And there were missions that I worked that were 12 hours plus handovers on each end. So long day,
Yep.
and I'm not sure I'm physically up for it anymore.
Yeah.
So, for those of you who are listening who don't know, Steph is handicapped, so you don't want an enumeration of the number of bad joints that I've got.
Yeah.
It would
All
take-
right. Good night, Carl.
Good night, Carl.
Good night, Carl.
All right, Carl.
It'd take us the rest of the show to list it all off.
Not quite that bad, but it would take a while. Yeah.
But one of the things that always amazes me when Elon gives presentations like that, there's no teleprompter.
Mm-mm. It was all off the cuff. Now
With-
he did have a PowerPoint presentation, and speaking from experience, that helps when you're giving a talk. But it's still off the cuff.
What are you shivering for, John?
Oh, just I was in the military and
PowerPoint.
PowerPoint.
Oh.
Yeah. I understood it implicitly. Yeah.
And trust me, there was a few they borderlined on blue jokes, right?
They did actually. Yes. The
That's
re-
one way to keep the audience interested.
the refueler that when he got off on that just cracked me up. So
And he was talking. They asked him. Well, he said, was talking about the catch arms and all that, and he says, "Well, if we screw it up, it'll be farewell to arms."
boom, boom.
Yeah. How many boos did you hear after that one?
No, the whole
Everybody
crowd
laughed.
busted out laughing. It was like, "Oh, we're in for
And
an Elon show."
He threw up a picture of the spacecraft getting retanked with locks, and said that we were going to throw up an animation short film, but it didn't come off right.
The way they came in back side to side.
I guess you had to be there, Joe Doc.
Somehow I keep thinking I'm seeing a scene from the Animaniacs in my head, and it's not one that would be shown on television.
Good night, everybody.
Yeah, pretty much.
Pretty much, yeah.
Hello, nurse.
Yeah, that pretty much is in the ballpark. So we've been rambling on for the past
Hour and a half.
We were making our jokes about it, but it had to do with vending machine cranes.
Well, the crane.
Like if you
Oh,
don't,
that was a thing of beauty.
Yeah.
If the jaws don't catch the rocket the first time, you just put 50 cents back in and try again with the claw.
After you clean everything up.
Yeah.
The rapid unscheduled disassembly.
Yeah.
We covered that. We covered that one too. Thanks to
Yeah, we were making our Toy Story references about the giant claw too.
And-
Oh,
Yeah. And they actually showed a time lapse of the actual lift of Starship up and setting it over on the booster. And like Stephanie said, that was a thing of beauty.
But what was funny was that there were all these drones in the area videoing the assembly, the stacking, and they had it speeded up enough to be able to fit it in because they move slow with those because you don't want to screw anything up. And so all these drones are going zip, 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 and they look like insects. They look like fireflies in the
sky.
in the sky.
It is the Texas coast. That may have just been mosquitoes. It may not have really been drones.
I can just see him finally sitting it down in there, and one of the drones gets in the wrong place at the wrong time. It's like they killed Fritz.
None of the drones got that close.
Yeah. Now, Stephanie,
It wasn't like the idiot that flew his drone through the lava fountain.
Oh, I imagine it didn't get very far.
well, what about the guy that flew his drone through Bengal Stadium just after they won?
Oh, I missed that one.
Oh yeah, he's in deep doo-doo.
I bet. Yeah, well, the guy that flew it through the lava fountain, I mean, it's like They got a nice picture, and it was still transmitting. They got a nice image of the lens melting, and it fell straight down into the lava pool. How they ever got, I, I, I think I don't know if it was transmitting or if they actually managed to fish the thing out and recover the
The-
recording.
It was probably
Something out of
recording.
lava. It was
Huh?
probably broadcasting.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just
haven't
know I got
noticed
to
it.
watch the video and it was kind of like, well, now I know what Gollum felt like.
Yeah.
I'm very disappointed that Stephanie Osborne does not actually own a drone. That's just, I mean, of all the people in this room that I would have bet money on owning a drone, Stephanie's the one.
Stephanie does not have the remote. I'm kind of. You remember? Do you remember in the second Men in Black movie, um, when the 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 car has gone airborne?
And they've got the
Yeah, and Jay is like,
Keystar or
"Did
whatever.
your mother ever give you a Game Boy?" And he's
What's
like,
a Game Boy?
"What is a Game Boy?" Well, you know what? They didn't have those when I grew up either. So Steph's
most of the
remote.
most of the drones
It
now,
was either Pong or nothing.
most of the drones now, you actually use your cell phone, your smartphone, to run the drone. That's where
That
your
doesn't
video.
strike me as being.
That's where your video picture comes in.
That doesn't strike me as being any better.
Mhm.
Yeah, I would probably wind up damaging my cell phone then.
My cell phone is about the size of a postcard, if that big. I see people at work got these huge cell phones, and I'm going, I know who watches porn.
Well, this is the latest one we got, and it's actually bigger. Um, it's a couple years old. It's actually slightly bigger than I'm comfortable with, but it works. It does lots of stuff. It's got bells and whistles. It does everything I need it to do, and then some.
Mm.
So I can't complain. It's a Moto something or other.
Mm.
That's what I got. I got a Motorola Moto E.
I actually saved my outmoded one that won't work with 4G or 5G because it's a terrific camera. It won't work as a cell phone anymore unless you need to dial 911, but it makes a great camera.
I've got an old Windows phone. It runs on Windows Media or whatever you want to call it, that thing they did for phones.
Mm-hmm.
And it actually has the ability. It has PowerPoint, so you can actually plug it into a projector and do PowerPoint presentations with it. Which
I
one of
feel
these
your pain.
But again, it's 3G, and so it's just sitting up here taking up electricity.
Now, is all that due to
Stephanie's
being-
thinking.
Yeah, that's a dangerous thing.
Yes, but it's always fun.
are all the 3G phones due to be extinct at the end of this month, or was it at the beginning?
I think it was January.
Yep, I'm not sure, but there are still
Into January.
that there are still places that only have 2G coverage. They have not been updated yet.
Wow.
So some of
Yeah.
those old phones are still useful.
It's out
And
in
all-
rural areas.
Yeah. Like
And all the
here.
airports are going nuts because of 5G and that. They're going to crash planes because of it.
Actually, there was an announcement that it is now safe for them to go ahead and have
How bad an aircraft designer do you have to be that somebody's cell phone can crash your airplane?
Now, actually, Fall Creek Falls State Park in Tennessee is in a county that all phone service is owned by one family. They are not allowing any cell towers in their county unless they control what it is.
Oh, wow.
So, and they're not going for the big ones. They're going for ones that give them the best kickback.
Yeah.
So a lot of cell phones don't work at Fall Creek Falls State Park. So what the cell phone companies are now doing is surrounding the county, right on the county line, with super towers.
Which will work very well once all the 5G implementation gets in.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
That's one reason I like Track Phone. They have license to piggyback off of every phone company's towers, or almost every phone company's tower. I'm sure there are still a few holdouts that won't sign a contract, but no matter where I am, if there's a cell tower, no matter who owns it, I can get some kind of signal. May not be a good signal, but I can get something, at least enough to send a text.
I went to a class in the military, and they had these cell phone jammers.
Oh, wow.
And they have different sizes and different power and stuff like that. The only problem with them is if they're not vehicle mounted, if you have to carry them with you, they drain batteries just ridiculously fast
Yeah, I
because
bet.
they're putting in a lot of power.
Oh, yeah.
And they create white noise so that cell phones won't work. And the idea being, if they were using like pagers or cell phones to detonate roadside bombs, you could have one of these backpacks or little handheld jobs or stuff like that.
And they
And-
couldn't do it. The signal
and it-
wouldn't get through.
The signal wouldn't get through. Which
Nice.
Oh.
And they had this one though. It was really cool. It was about the size of an old-fashioned walkie-talkie, and it was just real thin. The battery life on it was pretty good. It just wasn't that powerful. It only had like 100-foot range. Basically, if you were close enough, the bomb could explode. It might work. So if you were on foot, it was a good option. But they had a backpack version that was a good 1,200 yards. So
My
that was,
co-pilot has returned.
Yeah, he made an appearance on the Rocket Show.
Yep.
but that little one I was telling you about, the little handheld job. I wish I could have one of those for movie theaters.
Oh, no joke.
I wish they were every 20 feet all along I-285. Imagine how much safer it would be to drive in Atlanta if nobody's cell phone could work. Actually, I wish I had one in the break room at work.
Eventually, you know what they're going to be able to do? They're going to have a computer program that tracks where all the cell phones are. And if they catch you actually on your cell phone in your car driving down the road, it's tracking that signal as it goes down the road. It's like having a tracking device in your car.
They can track my signal all they want to. I'm talking through my car.
Right. But they'll know that.
Okay.
Well, I mean, they'll know it's going through the car. It's like an IP address on the internet. They know exactly what computer is doing the talking. It generates, it sends the, not necessarily the serial number, but every computer basically has an IP name.
My question is, how are they going to know that it's me, not my wife using my phone? To keep me from getting in trouble driving.
It'll be tied in with the voice recognition software. Not voice recognition.
Yeah.
Facial recognition.
Paging
so
Mr.
They actually
Orwell.
have to listen to the conversation to get the voice recognition.
Paging Mr. Orwell. Paging Mr. Orwell. Your society's waiting.
The technology is out there right now. They could literally they could turn on your cell phone, look at the camera, see who's on the phone talking, and whether they're driving and talking, and just you get home. The ticket's already in the mailbox.
The FBI
or even worse.
FBI no longer uses the shape of someone's ear as an identifying marker. They use fingerprints nowadays. If you're talking on a cell phone, the camera's going to be looking in your ear.
Maybe not.
I use the
that's
speaker.
true.
function
Yeah.
most of the time.
I never use speakerphone. I almost never use my cell phone as a telephone.
That's all I use mine for. I don't have.
Well, y'all heard about the guy in Germany, not Germany, one of those small European countries, bought like
South
40
Dakota.
No, I know what he's talking about. It's hilarious.
He bought a bunch of cell phones, had them all activated, and then put them in a wagon and pulled them around town, and would stop at the local pubs and get a beer, and it would show up on the Google Maps as a traffic jam at that pub.
So he was literally walking around town creating traffic jams on purpose.
Jeez.
That sounds like something I would do.
Yes, it does.
It does. It truly does.
No, Joe, you would take the yellow truck and fill it floor to ceiling with activated cell phones.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, you would, even if you had to buy them at pawn shops.
There's this old thing we used to do. If you had to talk with somebody long distance, but your radio wouldn't reach that far in the military, was finding a fence line or a power line. And if you get close enough to the steel support cables that were holding up the telephone poles with your antenna, or even touch your antenna to it, well, they hold up all these electric and telephone lines and stuff with steel cables. You get close enough to it, it would pick up your radio signal and transmit it down that steel cable like a giant antenna. And you could get two people standing either side of this with their radios, and you could have almost unlimited radio range.
Wow.
Yeah,
I have read about people back in the day when you had hand crank radios, or not radios, hand crank telephones and party lines, and they would have a set of cables with jumper clips that would go outdoors to a fence line, and the neighbors would do the same thing. You could use your fences as the
barbed wire
phone
fences.
line. Yeah, your own farm and all your neighbors' farm fences as a phone line in blizzards and other severe weather where
Shoot,
you
I
would
don't know
not
where
have
it's
regular
at.
phone.
No, it's in here somewhere.
You mean you didn't have to climb the pole to answer the phone like Oliver Wendell
Nope.
Douglas had to?
No, and believe it or not, Lindsay just discovered Petticoat Junction on
Oh,
the other
Uh-oh.
day,
that's
and
Uncle Joe. He's been.
I said, "Now wait till you discover Green Acres, and then you find out that Petticoat Junction, Green Acres, and Beverly Hillbillies is all in the same universe."
Yep.
What was the other show?
Yeah, there's one more
Yeah, there is.
because they did a Thanksgiving show where they all came together.
Mm.
Well, I can't. I know there was
Well,
another one.
anything that mentions Hooterville,
Yeah, it's all the same.
Sam Drucker's
Now-
store.
Yeah, now y'all were talking about the phones with the cables. I've got one of those phones. All I got to do is walk out to somebody's house, take a screwdriver, open the little box up, phone calls, landline.
As long as they have a working landline.
Yeah.
We got this internet put into the house through RTC telephone.
Yeah.
And we got this big box out in the garage, and we get half a gig of internet here down in Ringgold. And because we're actually so close to the Ringgold, I can look out my window right now. I can see the building. We're that close to Ringgold telephone. We get really good internet here at the house.
Good speed.
Good speed, good ping back, all that's good. But they hooked it into our old landline for the house. And they told us when they installed it, says, in an emergency, if you plug a phone into the, we don't use landline. We don't even have phones hooked into any of the landline boxes, but it's hooked up. So in an emergency, you can use this as a landline. Well, that's cool. It says, yeah, but it's like $20 a phone call. Because apparently we didn't sign up for that service, but in an emergency, we could actually use it, but it's expensive as hell.
I know there's another show that I'm not finding.
I'm looking, and John, I posted the picture in the Stupid O'Clock messenger chat, the famous picture of the episode that we're talking about, which I guess is called the Thanksgiving Spirit. It's and they are actually only saying Green Acres, Petticoat Junction, and Beverly Hillbillies.
I'm seeing that myself. But
But there
I'm
was
certain
another
there
one.
was
1968.
I thought, didn't, the pig, didn't they have a little spin-off?
Arnold. The
Yeah.
pig.
Well, I thought they were going to do a spin-off of the oldest, or no, which?
Oh, the oldest girl and her husband on Petticoat.
Steve.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wasn't they going to have a show of their own after they had the baby?
I think they were, but it never came to fruition. John, did you see what I put up in the share down there?
I didn't know what.
I just ran that test.
Are you sure it's a test and not just advertising?
No, that's my test. I get 1 gig down, and I'm running 720 up since I'm broadcasting. I know, I just had to brag. Good night, Donna.
Good night, Donna.
Oh.
So we only had, 3 bots tonight?
I thought we had 4.
No, one of Dan put one in timeout, and I
put him on block.
I blocked him, so that same name showed up twice. So there's actually only 3 bots.
I only got 1 during the rocket show. It was quick and sweet. Now, which one of y'all jumped over to the? I figured that was you.
I don't know. Apparently, because I'm an admin with Armchair Rocket Science,
yeah,
it just showed me as he is Armchair Rocket Science.
I didn't have the volume up, but I jumped over and liked it.
I popped in too to see what was taking y'all so long. You were watching a video, so I popped right back out.
And Dan did have the volume up.
Well,
hey, that's weird because I've got the headphones on. There's no external speakers. So Armchair Rocket Science, somehow or another, the sound came over on Stupid O'Clock.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it's...
Now, the video was probably the one of the Starship to Mars.
Yeah.
No, it was just some guy talking.
Oh, that was the presentation.
Yeah.
No, it wasn't Elon. It was some other guy talking.
Yeah. Oh, that was the question and answer section.
Could have been. I didn't stick around long enough to find out.
These 40 the 40 Starlink satellites that got knocked out of orbit, I bet they're newer ones with the sunshade.
Probably.
I'm not even going to go there because, frankly, the solar storm at this point should not have been capable of doing that, and that gets us into some stuff some international stuff that I don't want to go into.
Yeah, but it was the last batch that went up.
Yeah,
but
it shouldn't have done that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say, you could safely say that much of it without getting into politics.
What I'm thinking is that they deployed those sunshades that the astronomers wanted because they keep them from showing up on the astronomy pictures so much. But I'm thinking they deployed that sunshade, and it may have actually acted as a solar cell and pushed them back down into orbit, or put them back down close to atmosphere. Because it seems strange they lost all 40.
Yeah.
Yes.
Either they didn't hit the orbit right, and decay, and just that.
And see, that's another thing, is that it does seem strange that they would lose all 40 unless it was targeted. In which case, I would expect them to lose all 40. And my background is spotted variable stars, and I've been studying the sun for a long, long time. And that shouldn't have done what it did. I don't care, solar sail or not. Shouldn't
Well,
have done that.
there's two things with those satellites that could have they're small, they're not big satellites.
Yeah.
Two, they've got that solar shield,
Yeah.
which I could see that being affected by things. But the third one is they use ion thrusters,
Yeah.
which is some sort of hot plasma thing that they generate electrically. And I'm wondering if that may have been affected because
Shouldn't have. Put it to you like this, okay? I was talking with a physicist friend of mine, and his take on it was, at this point in the solar cycle, if that's all it took to deorbit them, they need to drop back and redesign. And he's right.
Mm-hmm.
of course those things they're fairly close. They're not a high orbit, are they, Joe?
No, this was the second. There's 3 shells.
Right.
This was second shell, and it didn't get up to the second shell orbit. I mean, so yeah, it was whatever. Something happened on launch
Probably.
between right
Guys,
at deployment.
let me just throw this out here, okay?
Right.
Chinese satellite debris.
Yeah.
Those are the only 3 words I'm going to say.
Mm-hmm.
Remember the recent news reports?
Yes.
Hmm.
That's all I'm going to say. Changing the subject to another international thing,
Yeah.
I'm sitting here looking at an article that indicates that at least 4 of the provinces of Canada have announced they will lift some or all of the COVID restrictions. Quebec, Alberta, Saskatchewan, and Prince Edward Island.
Yeah. Well, I'm vaccinated and infected, so I'm good to go.
Yeah, I'd say.
I don't know if what I've got right now is just a really bad cold or a really light COVID.
Well, I'll tell you, mild COVID will put your ass in the bed for about 4 days.
And it'll make you do that without being a smoker.
Yeah.
Me, I'm if I could stop crying for a week, I'd probably be able to clear some of this crud.
Oh,
I've finished up my antibiotics, so my sinuses are better. But
Oh, one thing we did learn during the presentation, I now know how to get Elon to HallowCon.
yes,
Invite him.
and tell
Yeah.
him we'll feed him well.
Yeah.
Send him samples of Megan's cooking.
No,
Oh,
this
Hey,
reporter.
that would get people to come from around the world.
Hey, the reporter said we sent you or this school sent you an invitation for this big festival they're having. We want you to come. And he goes, he says we got all this. He's, named off all the celebrations and stuff, and we have great food. And he says, "I'm there." Me and Stephanie both went.
We got him.
We got
We
him.
got him. I mean, seriously, after watching this tonight, I would love to just sit down and have a chat with the guy. Just as rocket scientist to rocket scientist, if you will. But what did I say when he first walked up? Shades of Tony Stark.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
All right, now if you don't start high flight in 30 seconds, I'm going to have to start Last Man while you're still playing.
Geez,
That's fine.
that
That's
time
fine.
already?
we've gone quick tonight.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we'll do this. Say thanks everybody for tuning in. Sorry I wasn't here at the beginning, but I knew I had great backup here. So with that, it's time for me to tell everybody. Say good night, everybody.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.
I have slept the surly bonds of earth and danced the skies on laughter-silvered wings. Sunward I've climbed and joined the tumbling mirth of sun-split clouds and done 100 things you have not dreamed of. Wheeled and soared and swung high in the sunlit silence. Hovering there, I've chased the shouting wind along and flung my eager craft through footless halls of air. Up, up the long, delirious, burning blue, I've topped the windswept heights with easy grace, when never lark nor even eagle flew. And while with silent, lifting mind, I've trod the high, untrespassed sanctity of space, put out my hand and touched the face of God.